Today, let us learn about Bentham and Hooker system of classification. So, it is a system of classification for the seed plants proposed by two eminent botanists, George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. It is considered as one of the most popular and well accepted natural system of classification. George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker were associated with the Royal Botanical Gardens Kew of England. They published their classification scheme in 3 volumes of the book Genera Plantarum that has been published during 1862 and 1883. It contains the descriptions of 97,205 species in 7,569 genera and in 202 natural orders, and natural orders are now treated as the families. George Bentham is an amateur botanist, a self-trained botanist, and he has contributed extensively in botany, and he published the Flora of Australia and also several monographs on major families. Joseph Dalton Hooker is a trained botanist and son of the William Joseph Hooker. Followed his father, he was also functioned as the director of Royal Botanical Gardens Kew. He has also worked in British India and he published the Flora of British India in 7 volumes. Bentham and Hooker system of classification is a refined form of AP-decontrollers classification scheme. The delimitation of the families and genera were based on the natural affinities. Before the natural system of classification scheme, the prevalent system was the artificial system of classification. In artificial system of classification, 1 or 2 features were considered for the classification of the plant kingdom or the flowering plants. In natural system of classification, a combination of characters mainly based on the morphological features and some anatomical features were used. Instead of 1 or 2 features, they have used a combination of characters for formulating the classification scheme. And the descriptions of the species and genera in Bentham and Hooker system of classification were based on the personal studies. They have not copied from earlier works, and because of that, it has become the most popular and authentic and reliable system of classification for the flowering plants. So it has been widely followed in the British as well as in the Commonwealth countries, and most of the countries are still following the Bentham and Hooker system of classification for its simplicity. Many of the herbariums of the world has arranged their herbarium specimens as per this classification scheme. Their gardens were also arranged as per the Bentham and Hooker system of classification. Only very recently, the Royal Botanical Gardens Kew has rearranged their classification scheme as per the latest phylogenetic system of classification. So that shows the significance of the Bentham and Hooker system of classification and its acceptance in most parts of the world. So this is the schematic representation of the classification. It is a classification scheme for the Phanerogams or the seed-bearing plants. It is grouped into classes and classes into subclasses, subclasses into series, and series into cohorts, and cohorts into families or the natural orders. In Bentham and Hooker system of classification, they have used the term natural orders for the present day families. So this is the schematic of the seed plants. Class Dicotyledonnae, class Gymnospermae, and class Monocotyledonnae. So class Gymnospermae is actually a mistake made by the Bentham and Hooker. During that period, gymnosperm was considered in between the Dicotyledonnae and Monocotyledonnae. And the class Dicotyledonnae is characterized by, as the name indicates, two cotyledons, and those plants are with prominent reticulate venation and prominent taproot system. And on the other hand, class Monocotyledonae is characterized by single cotyledon and parallel venation of in leaves and adventitious root system. So this is the basic scheme of classification. Class Dicotyledonae, class Monocotyledonae, and unfortunately they placed a gymnosperm. Nowadays gymnosperms are treated as a separate group. Now coming to the class Dicotyledonae, it is divided into subclasses as Polypetalae, subclass Gammapetalae, and subclass Monoclamidae. As the name indicates, Polypetalae as characterized by petals free, and subclass Gammapetalae, petals united. Monoclamidae is characterized by single word, either sepal or petal, or generally called as the perianth. So this is the major grouping of the class Dicotyledonae into three subclasses. This shows the details of the class Dicotyledonae. Then coming to the subclass Polypetalae is divided into three series: series Thalamiflorae, series Disciflorae, and series Caliciflorae. Among the Gammapetalae, subclass Gammapetalae, it is divided into series Inferae, Heteromerae, and series Bicarpellate. Then subclass Monoclamidae is grouped into series 8 series: series Curvembriae, Multiovulate Aquaticae, Multiovulate Terrestris, Micrembriae, Daphnails, Echlamidosphorae, Unisexuals, and Ordens Anomali. Ordens Anomali is an anomalous order. Class Gymnospermae, we are not dealing it in detail here because we are more interested in the angiosperms. Gymnospermae is composed of three families: Neetaceae, Coniferae, and Cycadaceae. That will be dealt later. Coming to the class Monocotyledonae, it is divided into 7 series as Microspermae, Epigynae, Coronariae, Calicinae, Nodiflorae, Apocarpae, and Glumaceae. Series are directly divided into families. There is no cohorts are in Monocotyledonae. We will discuss the details of each group in detail in the next videos.